Is Augie still schooling you at Three-Card Monte?
The man's an unnatural wizard. I never win. That's where he could retire to Blackpool on the brass he's taken off me.
It's a mug's game, Constable, but nobody wins all the time. The yard seems quite deserted. What's the reason?
The lawful folk are down, and the criminal classes see I'm on duty. I'm always on duty. I haven't had a tea break in donkey's years.
You want to know the secret to Augie's success?
Only slightly less than the Ripper's real name.
Might I see Lestrade on the strength of it?
The door is yours. Once inside, you're on your own hook.
Fine. After Augie manipulates the cards, tell him to move away from the table. Say that if your card is not one of those face down, he's in for a stay at Pentonville. I guarantee you'll start to recoup some of your losses.
He's been bombing the card, then.
Some secrets are just too tawdry to tell, Constable. Sergeant, might I have a word with Inspector Lestrade?
You might, Mr. Holmes, if he were free, but as you see, he's not.
Dissipating his meagre talent and trivialities, no doubt.
You'd know best. If you wish to wait, you may take a seat.
When might Lestrade be available, Sergeant?
I couldn't say, sir. She's been burning his ear for a longer spell and shows no sign of weakening. I got tongue-lashed for interrupting.
What's her problem?
Claims her brother's being wrongfully detained. Flapdoodle, of course. But the inspector's going the extra mile. There have been allegations of high-handedness. You may see Gregson looking over his shoulder if you take my meaning.
How's the family, Sergeant?
Down with the grip, Mr. Holmes. Terrible cramps. I'm far from tip-top myself.
Sorry to hear it. Might I speak with Inspector Gregson?
Of course. And might I say, sir, how sorry I am about your brother. It's out of human hands, isn't it? Terrible business, these gas explosions.
Yes, thank you, Sergeant. I'll just pop over to Gregson.
Mr. Holmes, Doctor, what can I do for you?
Has there been any news concerning the fire at the Diogenes?
The brigade confirmed our suspicions, sir. A spark of unknown origin ignited a gas main. The explosion was a regrettable accident.
What is regrettable, Inspector, is that the brigade doesn't possess the brain power to perform simple logic. As long as the cause of the spark remains unknown, the ultimate cause of the fire cannot be otherwise. Does Lestrade have anything to add to the brigade's report?
Doubtful. He has several cases running and was eager to close the book on this one.
Typical. Always the easy way.
Well, he's not as acute as he was, and compassion is not a strong point, but our workload is quite overwhelming.
If the man is overworked, let him say so. Platitudes merely mask incompetence and lack of imagination. The callous numbskull.
Holmes, please moderate your tone. Well spoken, Mr. Holmes, if you'll permit me to say so.
Can you give me authority to investigate this Diogenes business?
That I can't, Mr. Holmes, and it pains me to deprive you, but Lestrade is in charge. I can't interfere, I'm sorry.
Do you credit the rumour that Irish hooligans are abroad in the city?
If you're suggesting that terrorists are behind the Diogenes explosion, Mr. Holmes, I can't encourage you.
What if there were evidence of a bomb having been ignited?
If you have such evidence, I want to see it. I'd want to know where it was found and why it was not turned over to the office. But I believe there is no such evidence. The Diogenes is not their sort of target.
Tell that to my brother.
I think that's enough, Holmes.
Police bureaucracy is perfectly suited for certain types of work.
What types are those, Holmes?
The tedious, the repetitive, the fatuous, the unimaginative, and the squalid.
As that covers most criminal activity, it's a wonder you stay busy.
Drop the sarcasm, Doctor. I'm determined to be angry with the police. If I am unreasonable, I expect you to humor me. May a patient's maladies be diagnosed from their ravings?
A specialist might be able to. I'll wager alcohol plays a part in this episode.
Is it current drink, a history of abuse, or a seizure?
It's a fair question.
Note the particularity of his tics and gyrations.
They are suggestive.
And the alterations of his complexion.
An even better observation. I have been as previous as the police. The man is ill, some form of epilepsy, perhaps.
You appear discomfited, Watson. Is there a problem?
Do not concern yourself, Holmes. The draft is wreaking havoc on my sinuses. Simply makes me feel more thick-headed than usual.
Is there anything here to detain us further, Watson?
If we don't talk to Lestrade, did we not waste our time?
Sergeant, why is that man being held in the lockup?
Nutty as the proverbial fruitcake, as you can hear. He's waiting for a lift to St. Mary's.
What is the delay?
That woman claims he's not bunkered. She says he's sick.
She is indubitably correct, but how sick, and from what? Sergeant, I believe your prisoner is ill.
There's no doubt about it, Mr. Holmes. Mentally defunct, I'd say. Criminally insane. No telling what he'll get up to on the loose.
I think not. He's an epileptic. Dr. Watson will support my observation.
Well, I'm loath to contradict you, Mr. Holmes. But your say-so just don't cut it in this instance. The bloke's loopy.
Sergeant, are you familiar with the Encyclopedia Britannica?
The greatest collection of folk learning on earth, my dear pa always said.
That's as may be. I believe its articles on medicine are considered authoritative.
Next to God, they're all the truth there is, sir. Pa said so.
If you'd like to save the inspector's reputation from careening downhill and protect the yard from litigation for unlawful arrest, you should know of the latest research on epilepsy. Pay special attention to the sections on grand mal and psychomotor seizures. That man is sick.
Jensen, the man in the lockup, may be epileptic. Look up grand mal seizures in the EB and convey your findings to Inspector Lestrade.
Right away, Sarge.
Guard! Have the incarcerated gentleman cleaned up immediately and release him to his sister's custody. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Another scandal here would be damaging.
Sergeant, might I speak to Lestrade, please?
Of course. Inspector, Mr. Holmes to see you. Mr. Holmes, Doctor.
You're finally ready to resume your duties, Lestrade?
I appreciate your assistance on that medical matter, Mr. Holmes, but the arch tone is out of order.